Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of my Pokemon Battle Series, the School of Hard Knocks. Throughout this episode, like every other on the School of Hard Knocks, we'll be jumping on to the Pokemon Global Link Battle Spot ladder service, playing under the rating battles and under the Championship Battle rule set, which is the equivalent rule set of the Video Game Championships this season 2017. So, if you caught my little update video earlier, which was like a team review video, you'll have seen we have made some changes to the Talonflame team. So if you did catch that episode, I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't watched it, it might be worth kind of going back before you watch this episode. If you're not interested, that's fair enough, but we did make a few changes to the team, and I hope I kind of went through everything and why I wanted to just try some new stuff out. So, we did drop the Talonflame for the Aerodactyl. We changed the Kartana for the Tapu Bulu, and that gives us a terrain in the team. We kept the Marowak. We changed the Ninetales to the Gigalith, which gives us, it keeps our weather, but it gives us an option to take advantage of Trick Room. We kept the Garchomp, changed the setup a little bit and the EVs, and we kept the Milotic as it is. So, without further ado, we will just jump straight onto the Battle Spot ladder and try and find our first opponent and give this team a test. So, hopefully it works out alright. It's all theory in my head at the minute, so I haven't actually put it into practice, but hopefully it should kind of work as well as what I think it might. So we're nowhere near that 1700 mark at the minute, which is a bit unfortunate, but hopefully with the changes we've made, we'll start climbing up the ladder pretty quickly and get over that by the end of the week and then start pushing on. But the thing is, if it doesn't work, what we can do, we'll go back to the review video, do another one of those and look at tinkering and trying things out. But the main thing, the main point to get across to you guys is, if you've got ideas and there's stuff you want to test, don't be afraid to do it. Just put it together and see how it goes. That's all Pokemon is, and that's all the Battle Spot ladder is about. It's practice for big tournaments. These aren't the major tournaments, they're not the major events that you need to be worried about. Obviously you want to be playing your best at all times, but it's all about, at this point, trying to just piece ideas together, test them out, see if they work. If they work, great, take them forward. If they don't work, try and tinker with them. Just make changes and see how you get on. Anyway, we've got our first opponent from the United States, Kevin, on a rating of 1525, and he is running a team of Porygon2, Alolan, is that Ducks? It is Ducks. It's Golduck and Pelipper, Tapu Bulu and Tapu Koko. So it looks like he's got quite an offensive fast mode with the Rain Core there and the Tapu Koko, and he possibly has a Trick Room mode as well, obviously with the Porygon2, the Alolan and the Tapu Bulu potentially. He does have two terrains there. But I think my opponent, just from my team makeup, he'd probably be more inclined to go for the Tapu Koko. But you never know, because I do have the Gigalith as well as the Milotic, so the Tapu Bulu here could take advantage of those if I do bring them. Now, what do I want to lead here? I do like Aerodactyl as a lead and Gigalith, because just in case he leads with that rain, it's going to be quite nice. I think we have to be aware of that Tapu Bulu though, so, and the Tapu Koko. So we'll bring the Marowak and my own Tapu Bulu to the match, and we'll lock in with those four and see how we get on in this first match. So, rain's never an easy archetype to kind of come into your first game with a team against. I don't think so anyway. It's so hyper offensive, so you've just got to play it right and not really get any complacency throughout the match, because these sort of teams do not, they're very unforgiving on slight mistakes. They will just pick up on it and kind of snowball their way through the rest of the match. So as you see, I'm going to lead off with the Aerodactyl and Gigalith, and my opponent is opting to lead with their Pelipper and Tapu Bulu. So what can we do here? Now we can Sky Drop that Tapu Bulu and go for a Rock Slide onto the Pelipper. And although it might Tailwind, that would do us probably a big favour for the next turn. Because if he Tailwinds this turn, it means the Tapu Bulu is not going to be able to move next turn, as my Aerodactyl would be slower, so it would move before us in the air and then we bring it down, so it would burn another turn. So I think that's what I might do this turn. And it protects my Aerodactyl from any potential water attacks from the Pelipper, as well as protecting my Gigalith from any grass moves from the Tapu Bulu. And I think I will just go for a Rock Slide into the Pelipper. So a Rock Slide and the chip from the hail damage should pick up the KO. So we get the Sky Drop off onto the Tapu Bulu, which is great. The Pelipper does Tailwind, so hopefully we pick up the KO on the Pelipper this turn. And then there's oh no. Oh no, sorry. Yeah. I got way too overexcited there. I thought the Rock Slide said it missed the Pelipper, but it didn't. The Pelipper does hang on though. But we're not in the worst position here. Now, I think I'm quite safe to bring in. As I say, the Tapu Bulu is not going to get a turn here, potentially, because it should be outspeeding everything. So I'm quite tempted just to go for a heavy slam into that slot, just to pick up the KO onto it. The Pelipper would more likely go for a Scald into the Gigalith at this point, but he actually withdraws the Pelipper, brings in the Golduck. We get the Sky Drop off. Hopefully that Tapu Bulu has already moved. And yeah, so this works out brilliantly, and we get the Heavy Slam off onto the Bulu and pick up the KO, so that's really nice. But now we have to worry about my opponent being able to switch in that Pelipper, and that will give Golduck the boost in the rain. So I think what I will do is, I think I'm gonna have to switch my Gigalith out at this point, because I need to get rid of that rain as soon as I can, really, because my opponent's got this turn of Tailwind, he's got one more turn after that, so I will protect my Aerodactyl here, and I'm just going to bring in my own Tapu Bulu. It's very unlikely that my opponent will Hurricane into the Gigalith, as it wouldn't be doing very much damage anyway, but hopefully Tapu Bulu will be able to take the Scalds to a certain extent, probably better than anything else I've got on the back at the moment anyway. The Golduck is going for the Scald into the Aerodactyl, and the Pelipper goes for the Scald into the Tapu Bulu. Hopefully don't get a burn here. No burn, so that is brilliant. So this will be my opponent's last turn of Tailwind. Yeah, it will be. Now, my opponent may double into... Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go for a Rock Slide onto my opponent's 2 Pokemon. Hopefully it takes me... it might be a bit risky doing that. Yeah, I am going to do that. I'm going to Rock Slide, and I'm also going to bring in my Gigalith. Yeah, my Gigalith. Because I don't want my Tapu Bulu to take a Hurricane from that Pelipper. So hopefully my opponent doesn't double in. There's always the chance that he might double into the Aerodactyl, expecting the Sash just to pick up the KO on it. But hopefully that's not the case. Golduck goes for the Ice Beam into the Aerodactyl, doing about half damage. And the Pelipper actually does go for the Hurricane into the Gigalith, which is fine. And we get the Rock Slide off. It does miss the Pelipper this time, unfortunately. But then this should be, the Tailwind should end this turn. So we'll just recover a bit of damage with our Gigalith. And yeah, my team's... So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually Tailwind with my Aerodactyl, and I'm going to switch in... Do I just go for the Rock Slide and Earthquake, or do I, to prevent his... There's always the chance of the Rock Slide missing though, so I don't really want to be in that situation. Yeah, I think I'm going to just switch my Gigalith out to my Tapu Bulu and go for a Tailwind of my own. In the worst case scenario is the Pelipper matches the Tailwind, but he hasn't got the Rain up, so we should still be outspeeding in the next turn as long as my Aerodactyl sticks around on the field. Pelipper actually protects, so we will get the Tailwind up, which is really nice. And we'll see what the Golduck is going to go for. It's going to go for the Z move, so we're probably looking at it targeting the Tapu Bulu. So we should be able to survive the Hydro Vortex here. I'm not too sure though, it's not on Rain, and we do resist it. It's actually into the Aerodactyl, so that will definitely pick up the KO. But Aerodactyl's done its job here, it's got the Tailwind up, so that's brilliant. Now before we make our decision on who we're going to bring in, I want to have a look at what my opponent could potentially have in their back. But we're in a really, really good position at the moment, because we're outspeeding everything on the field, even with our Tapu Bulu at this point. Now let's have a look. Oh, I can't. This would be handy at this stage. Right, I'm going to bring in Marowak because I want to keep Gigalith in the back in case he starts to cycle that Rain again. I want to be able to just prevent that if I can. So it would be really handy at that screen where you're kind of bringing in your Pokemon, if you could kind of have a look at what your opponent's 6 are, but you can only see it, I think, from this screen here. So what could my opponent... I think just to cover my bases here, just in case he goes for us into that Bulu, because is it the Tapu Bulu that he's got on the back? So I'm going to Flare Blitz into the Pelipper, and I'm going to just Wood Hammer into the Golduck. Withdraws the Pelipper. It's the Tapu Koko, but we still should be doing a good amount of damage onto the Tapu Koko. I'd expect the Protect maybe to come out here onto the Golduck, but no Protect, so we will just pick up the KO onto the Golduck. And we're going to get a nice chunk of damage onto the Tapu Koko here with our Marowak. And this should, I don't know if it'll pick up the KO. Very close. And then we're going to have the Pelipper come back in, but we're still going to be outspeeding everything on the field because we're still in a Tailwind. And I think what I'll do, just to make sure that we pick up the KO on my opponent, and just to, in case he goes for the double protect, just to kind of burn out the Tailwind turns, I'm just going to switch in my Gigalith in for my... Yeah, I'm going to protect with my Marowak. No, not actually. I'm going to Shadow Bone with my Marowak into the Pelipper, and I'm going to bring in my Gigalith for my Tapu Bulu. Just to get the Sandstorm back up on the field, and that should be enough if my opponent does double protect his turn to burn the Tailwind turns out. The residual damage from the Sandstorm will pick up the KO on both of them, and that should be game. My opponent just thinking over what he's going to be doing here. Whether he wants to probably go for that double protect, or if he wants to just go straight for the attacks. So we'll get the Sandstorm back up. Tapu Koko actually just goes straight for the attack and goes for the Dazzling Gleam. It is Life Orb, so Tapu Koko goes down here, and we should pick up the KO with the Shadow Bone onto the Pelipper. So that's game. So good games to my opponent there. And that's not a bad start to the episode. So we're off to a decent enough start, and I feel like the team really was able to deal with the rain core of that team quite well, and Gigalith put a lot of work in there, as well as the Aerodactyl as well. So not off to a bad start, but we will continue on to our next match and see how we get on. Gigalith's a great Pokemon. It's one of those Pokemon that it's a hand. There's so much stuff I want to try out this format, and I just haven't had time to really go through everything. But Gigalith's definitely one of those Pokemon I have been looking at to try out. So it's nice to actually finally use it in a team and put it to some use. So it's nice. And the other one is Alolan Muck as well. And originally, when I was thinking of the Aerodactyl with the Skydrop, I had a really it was a bit of a niche idea with Alolan Muck and running the Dark Z Crystal on it with Knockoff and Taunt as well. So it would run a faster Muck, so it would be able to take advantage of Tailwind as well. Obviously with the Z Taunt, it's got a little quirk to it. If you Z move Taunt, you get an attack boost, so you can potentially shut down a Porygon from setting up a Trick Room potentially, or recovering, and get an attack boost as well the same turn. So it's a different option to always just go on straight with the knockoff as well. But it's just a concept anyway, and I didn't really run with it. Anyway, we've got our next opponent from Japan. They are running a very interesting team of Flygon, Porygon2, Tapu Koko, Golem, Alolan Golem, Tapu Bulu, and Gigalith. So there's a lot of rock in this team. Let's think what we're going to do here. I think I might lead. We obviously need, he's got the double electric there as well with the Tapu Koko and the Golem. Although the Golem is more of a Trick Room mon, so that Porygon 2 is probably going to be used to set that up. We have to be careful though if we bring out Gigalith, obviously, with the Flygon and the Bulu. But let's stop procrastinating and pick some Pokemon. Ooh, what do I go with here? I think I'm going to lead Aerodactyl. And I may lead... Ooh, I don't want to lead Garchomp, to be honest. I think I might lead Tapu Bulu of my own. I definitely want to bring my Marowak, and I'll bring Gigalith. All that talk about their rock types, and I haven't brought my Garchomp, which may be a bit of a bad move, but may not be as well. It's heavily threatened by the Tapu Koko. I don't want to really lead with it and just take a lot of damage. I don't run Protect on it, so it is a bit of an issue. And that might be something we have to change pretty quickly. And I don't know how well it's going to work. But we'll have to just have a flurry of matches and see how it's doing and how it performs, because it is meant to work in a certain way. Anyway, we're going to lead off with the Aerodactyl and Tapu Bulu. My opponent is going to lead off with the Tapu Koko and the Porygon 2. So, what are we going to do here? We will get the grassy terrain up. Porygon 2 is going to get a special attack increase, which isn't ideal. But can I see a Trick Room coming out? Possibly. I don't really want to give up my Aerodactyl too freely, to be honest. So I might switch in my... Because what I can potentially see my opponent doing is going for a Volt Switch out and a Trick Room. So I might switch in my Marowak at this point and just go for a Wood Hammer. Actually, yeah, a Wood Hammer onto the Porygon2. Because then if he goes for the Volt Switch, the Marowak's Lightning Rod's going to prevent that. I'll keep the Tapu Koko in on the field, and then, yeah, he does go for the Volt Switch. So that's brilliant. We're going to stop the Tapu Koko from switching out. We will get a Wood Hammer off onto the Porygon2. This should do a good amount of damage. Does a really good amount of damage, so that's nice. And that's kind of almost forcing that Porygon2 to really recover next turn rather than attack. So we're not in too bad a position at the minute, because we're really threatening that Tapu Koko. And let's have a look at what my opponent's got. He's probably locked into Volt Switch at the minute as well. And he's not got a lot to bring in that's going to take advantage. If he's going to bring something in to take advantage of the Trick Room, he is going to really have to bring in one of those rock types. And if it is, it's not going to, nothing's going to really appreciate a Boomerang. So I'm just going to Boomerang into that slot, and I'm going to bring in my own Gigalith in place of my Tapu Bulu. Because with that special attack increase that the Porygon2's just received, oh, he actually switches out the Porygon2 into Gigalith. Okay. So that's alright. I don't mind that too much. We're going to switch out our Bulu into our Gigalith, and hopefully we pick up the KO onto the Tapu Koko here with the Boomerang. Unfortunately we do miss. Tapu Koko goes for the Dazzling Gleam. Oh, that's really unfortunate. And that's a critical hit onto my Gigalith. Okay. Right. I'm just trying to think of what the game plan could be here, because the Gigalith, it might carry Wide Guard, but it might just go for an Earthquake to try and pick up some damage on both of my opponent's Pokemon. Both of my Pokemon, sorry. But I don't know if an Earthquake will be in. Well, obviously it won't be enough because it's in the grassy terrain. But there's always the worry about the Tectonic Rage coming out from it as well, which it might have. I'm gonna just Boomerang into that, and I'm gonna Rock Slide as well. And we'll see what my opponent does here. Hopefully my opponent doesn't have Tectonic Rage. I think that's the only thing at the minute that's really going to flip the match in his favour. If he's got the Tectonic Rage, then it will... So the Tapu Koko actually protects. The opposing Gigalith goes for Stone Edge into the Marowak. That will pick up the KO. And we're just going to get a Rock Slide off, which is not ideal. And the other thing we have to watch out for as well is the Heavy Slam, which can come out onto my Tapu Bulu. So we really need to try and stall out these Trick Room turns before we can really get any momentum back. And I guess this is the negative side of having grassy terrain active on the field as well. It's restore my opponent's health as well as my own, which is not anything. It's not something you really want to be doing, especially in these sort of situations where you're kind of trying to stall your opponent's strategy out. I don't think I've really got too much option other than to protect my Tapu Bulu in this position and just go for... I don't think an Earthquake's really going to do as much as I need it to, especially to that Gigalith, but I think I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to go for the Earthquake with my Gigalith, see how much damage I can get off onto both the opposing Pokemon and protect my Tapu Bulu this turn. But we do know that that Tapu Koko isn't Scarfed or Specs, so... And is this going to be the... Yeah, this is going to be the Tectonic Rage, I would imagine. Is it? Let's see. Continental Crush. Okay. So is this going to be onto my Gigalith? Onto my Tapu Bulu. But we have protected on this, so we should be able to take it. Yeah, with ease. And we get the Earthquake off. It's obviously been nerfed by the Grassy terrain, but it still should do a decent amount of damage onto both Pokemon. Not brilliant. And Tapu Koko goes for the Volt Switch into the Gigalith. And we do see that it's Life Orbed, so I should have probably picked up on that a bit earlier in the video. So the Tapu Koko is going to go back, and we are going to see... What are we going to see from my opponent? We know he's got the Porygon2, which may come back in, and yeah, it does come back in now. And we'll see what the download boost is going to get. Special attack. But we will outspeed the Porygon2 with our Gigalith in the Trick Room anyway, so it's not the end of the world. So what do we know? That we don't really know too much about that Gigalith. It's only used Stone Edge and the Z move, so... But the likelihood is it probably does have Heavy Slam, which is definitely going to threaten our Tapu Bulu. And I do feel like we need to preserve Tapu Bulu probably more than we need to preserve our Aerodactyl. So I'm going to bring in my Aerodactyl here. And I'm going to go for a heavy... Should I go Heavy Slam or Rock Slide? I don't think a Heavy Slam is going to be enough to pick up the KO onto the Porygon2. So it might be worth going just for a Rock Slide. Just to try and possibly get lucky and get a flinch onto the Porygon2 with the Rock Slide. Which would do us a massive favour. So the Aerodactyl is coming in for my Tapu Bulu. Opposing Gigalith goes for Rock Slide. It's going to take my Aerodactyl down to its sash. And we'll see what the Porygon2 is going to go for after we get our Rock Slide off. Do get good damage off onto everything. Hopefully we get the... No, we don't get the flinch, unfortunately. It does go for the Ice Beam. And it does do double up into the Aerodactyl. So... that should be the last turn of Trick Room though. I'm just trying to think what we can... We need to... If this is the last turn of Trick Room, yeah. We do need to kind of prioritise not letting that Porygon2 get the Trick Room up again. We're going to get the Grassy terrain back onto the field. And I don't know how many more turns we're going to have of Sandstorm either. I think this might be the last turn of Sandstorm. I think I'm going to just go for... Just going to go Wood Hammer into the Porygon2 and I'm just going to Rock Slide. I could Heavy... No, I'm going to Rock Slide. I'm going to Rock Slide over anything else. I don't want to Earthquake. It's not really going to be doing anything to the Gigalith, but if anything, the Rock Slide, I'll be going first. My Gigalith's outspeeding his. So I might pick a flinch up on the way. But no, the Gigalith is actually revealing Wide Guard. But that's fine, we will get the KO onto the Porygon2. So we're going to stop that from actually being able to set up another Trick Room, which is fine. I would imagine my opponent now probably to bring in the the Tapu Koko. Obviously our Rock Slide is blocked by my opponent's Wide Guard. We will just restore a little bit of health back from the grassy terrain. But we still haven't seen my opponent's final and fourth and final Pokemon, so we don't know what my opponent has. But if he does bring in the Tapu Koko, it does mean that our Earthquakes are going to be hitting a lot harder than they were previously. So my opponent just taking his time, thinking over what he's going to do here. And we're down to our last two Pokemon right now, so we've not really got too many options with what we can do. And we have to keep in mind that he's got the Wide Guard as well, so if we do go for Earthquakes and things like that, it's not going to be just as easy a call. It's just simply just clicking the button. So we're actually going to see Tapu Bulu come in here, which is interesting. Because he can go straight for an attack onto my Tapu Bulu, onto my Gigalith, and pick up a KO. But I don't know whether it's worth. Is it obvious to him that I'm going to protect my Gigalith, so he's just going to attack into my Tapu Bulu? But I think I'm going to have to. I'm just going to go for that play. I'm going to protect my Gigalith and attack into his Tapu Bulu. Hopefully he protects his Gigalith this turn and doesn't read into that too much. So I'll protect my Gigalith. We're not going to be getting a lot of damage off. The opposing Gigalith goes for Wide Guard again. Opposing, yeah, he goes for the Wood Hammer. I do just survive, but the recoil from my Wood Hammer now is actually gonna KO me, which is not great. So I unfortunately have lost this match because I don't think there's a way for me to actually survive anything this Tapu Bulu is going to be able to throw at me at this point. I do have Heavy Slam, but there is no way on this Pokemon field that I am outspeeding that Tapu Bulu, so I think that is good game to my opponent. And to be honest, it might have been a better idea to let my opponent set the Trick Room up with the Porygon2 if that's what he was going for. But again, I don't know if my 6 that I selected were the best 6. Garchomp might have been a lot better to bring here, and then it would have had at least a clean way to get rid of the Gigalith. It's just kind of, as soon as my opponent's brought it out into the field, it's just sat there and just being able to just disrupt the whole match. So without being able to deal with it straight away, it's really cost me in that situation. So that's something to think about in the future. But good games to my opponent, and we will call it a day there. So guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I hope you're enjoying the team and the changes that we've made. Obviously, the standard of match is going to get a lot higher as we go on through the week and get a bit more adjusted to the team. So there's always, as I say, there's always a learning curve to every new team that you're using, and just kind of getting used to how your opponents are going to react to the team and lead against it in team preview, as well as what they're going to bring in their game plans and stuff like that. So the more we get used to it, the better things we'll get. So we'll come back to this team tomorrow. I hope you're enjoying this content. Like I always say, if you've got any comments at all about anything, if there's anything you want to see in the videos, leave a comment in the comment section below. I always get that muddled up. But yeah, and leave a like on the video if you've enjoyed the episode. It's always greatly appreciated. But until tomorrow, guys, you go and enjoy your night, and I will see you later. So until then, bye bye.